It's full time at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Manchester United are 3 points off third place in the Premier League. They are counter-attacking their way to the top four. Benjamin Sesco off the bench does it again. A very big away win for Manchester United. And if you are a United fan that's watching this, make sure to show some love in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'm Ben Bowman. You may have seen me before on TikTok. This is my new general football YouTube channel. We are literally less than 30 subscribers away from 1k. If I could get there tonight, that would be amazing. And I think there's a lot of interesting talking points to talk about from this game. United lead the charge at the moment for Champions League football up to fourth. Well, they're in fourth place. I think they were in fourth place before the ball was... Chelsea were because of the goal difference. Yeah, United up to fourth, 3 points off third behind Aston Villa. I think there's a lot to kind of take from this from United perspective. I thought first half was a bit of a dull and drab affair. Gary Neville kept kind of going on about the rain and how sort of it wasn't allowing for slick football, even though I think that's what he said in the first few minutes, that the ball was zipping around nicely, and then sort of changed his mind and said it was holding up. But United obviously came alive a little bit more when the game opened up in that second half. Everton kind of did go for it and they caught them on the counter-attack. I want to talk about that. Sesco, his quality of finishing. I want to talk about Lammens and what an amazing bit of business that he has been for United as well. And I want to talk about kind of a little bit, not to get all, kind of on my high horse, so to speak, but the state that football's in a little bit right now. And I think United fans, if you're watching this, you'll probably resonate with that second half in terms of the corners and set pieces. I just feel like, and I'll start. Let's get the sort of negativity out of the way about the game first, right? So there was so much pushing and pulling from an Everton perspective in that penalty area in the second half. And I was talking about this to my old man at the weekend about the West Ham Bournemouth game. There was an incident where just before the corner was taken, I can't remember which Bournemouth player it was, I can't remember which West Ham player it was, but the Bournemouth player was pulled back and went down, and obviously they can't give it. VAR looked at it, but obviously the ball wasn't in play, so they can't do anything. But it is not a deterrent to players if that is a rule. I know it opens up a huge can of worms. I tweeted about this actually. I'll see if anybody kind of gave their thoughts back. I had a few replies when I tweeted. I said this second half is... Oh, one person. This second half has low-key been unwatchable with all the pushing and pulling at corners. Part of me thinks they've got to scrap the ball in play rule and start giving pens or free kicks even if the kick hasn't been taken. I know that opens up a big can of worms, but it will never change otherwise. And look, I know that's not necessarily the answer, but players aren't going to necessarily stop doing it. And then for the spectator in the stadium and for people watching it on TV, it just makes for such a drab spectacle when the referee is like looking at players like, look, lads, like, come on. You know I can't punish you because the ball hasn't been taken yet, but it does. The corner hasn't been taken yet, but it still affects like the play. Just because the ball's not in play, it still affects it, because even if there's a little shove just before the corner comes in, the referee doesn't spot it, and then the guy's either on the floor has lost his momentum, and then the guy goes and gets a header, or the keeper's being infringed. And that's where I want to talk about Lammens. 8.4 rating on FotMob. He made an excellent save from Michael Keane. I mean, Michael Keane's ball striking is something else, by the way. Like, what on earth is that all about? Left foot, outside the area, tips it over the bar. Didn't have, like, loads of big saves to make. Other than that, made a few saves. He made one from Tyreek George down low, held it as well, didn't spill it, and did well for that. Made a save in the first half as well from the free kick, which was fairly comfortable. But that one from Michael Keane, that is going in off the bar. That's going in the top corner. Like, that is an unbelievable save, really, from him. But it's the claiming for crosses. I don't know if high claims 2, recoveries 11. Again, kind of sweeping up behind that back line, and his distribution as well. It maybe isn't the strongest part of his game, but certainly coming for crosses is. And I think that with Man United, obviously they were so desperate for a goalkeeper that they could feel more security and safety in after what they've seen with Onana for a long time. I remember like early United games this season under Amram where Lammens was kind of first trusted and brought in, and some of the things that United fans were saying, like, about finally having a goalkeeper that could come and do it. And I think maybe Lammens was starting to become a teeny bit overrated just because of the fact that he wasn't Onana. But actually, I just don't think that's true anymore. I think he's a really accomplished goalkeeper that, look, is still young, 23 years of age, as you know, came from Royal Antwerp. Again, it's not as, you're not as kind of cynical maybe about goalkeepers coming from other leagues, but again, it's still a big kind of step up. Only played a couple of seasons for them, and it's still a big jump up to Man United. He's kept 5 clean sheets so far this season, and they just look a lot more assured with him at the back in that defence. It's just that was so difficult for him tonight to come out and claim corners, being pushed back, so many stop-starts, then having to kind of reset your concentration as a goalkeeper with all that going on in front of you at 23 years of age. We've seen goalkeepers, look, the proof will be in the pudding if he can kind of sustain this form over a longer period of time, because we've seen goalkeepers come into the league look decent and then they've kind of been found out a little bit more at kind of other moments. But he's done really well. He has done really, really well, Son of Lammens, and I think he was deservedly the man of the match tonight. I think United's defensive unit looked pretty strong anyway, kind of limited Everton to maybe some shots from outside the box. I thought Tyreek George, from an Everton perspective, was good, was a live wire. I wonder if we see him start to come into the team sooner, really, because I've been impressed with some cameo appearances off the bench. Everton couldn't really get in Giants the game down that right-hand side. I thought United worked really hard. They kind of fought for everything. Cunha obviously was getting in a bit of a battle and a scrap with James Garner in that second half. I think it was Garner, wasn't it? Kind of going back and forth. But again, this United team looks so rejuvenated and kind of refreshed under Michael Carrick that, look, I think there's a bigger thing to maybe say about them kind of facing teams that sit in a little bit, as Everton kind of did in that first half. I still think there were some kind of decent moves that United sort of put together. It wasn't vintage. It wasn't a very watchable first half of football, and I was excited for Monday Night Football. Like Everton, Man United, it's the best Monday Night Football fixture we've had in a long time, but it didn't necessarily deliver in terms of the quality of the game. Certainly not in the first half. But there was a couple of nice little moves. Obviously, they worked it well in the box to get Ahmad that shot off, which Tarkowski cleared off the line after Pickford save. There was a couple of nice little balls around the corner. I think, was there one from Cunha into Fernandes where he lashed it back across, and there was even no one there, or it kind of got cleared away. But there was some nice moments of interplay. I still think Carrick has got to develop maybe his game a little bit more in terms of the patterns of play to try and pull these teams apart. But I also think that he's obviously in this new stage as a manager where not many teams maybe necessarily figured out what he wanted to do, right? So teams are maybe naturally going to go at them a little bit more, sense a bit of vulnerability, potential weaknesses, right? In this Man United team after, by their own standards, a poor kind of couple of years, and players maybe not playing with that confidence, that they were able to pick teams off really well on the break in those kind of first few games. And maybe that is a bit overstated, because I think they've played some nice football in moments too in a more of a settled game state, right? But they do look really threatening on the break. Will teams now just start to sit back more and more against United and not allow them that space? Probably. I think that's what Everton did tonight for the most part in that first half. But there is also a point where you're the home team, you're a team like Everton or teams higher than them in the league, where you've then got to come out and got to show a bit. You can't just sit in all game, because I think United look fairly, comfortable at the back as well. So I think there comes that time where you kind of have to come out, and then that just brings United into the game so much. Like Mbuemo, Ahmad, Cunha, Fernandes, even Mainu in terms of his ability to carry the ball up the pitch as well. Sesco, the way he likes to run into space. They've got so many weapons on the counter-attack that it's going to be difficult for teams to stop them, because like I said, there does come a point in the game, especially at home, where you then do have to go for it. You do. You can't just sit back. Then that space opens up and United kill them. I thought there were some brilliant passes from Cunha tonight. The way they found that space in behind was brilliant. Sesco took his goal really, really well off the bench. Another goal off the bench for him, kind of making almost an instant impact. Subbed on in the 58th minute. The goal came in the 71st. And it's such a good finish. Walk with me here, guys, right? With his goal, I think I'll try and explain this on Twitter and try and explain it in the group chat. I think there's something really satisfying about when a player like Sesco has got so much space for that goal, right? When it gets past him, that he's going to finish it. You think that he's definitely going to finish it. But there's that delay, and you still get that eruption from the away fans. It's like the kind of, like the sort of, go on, and then, yeah, that kind of thing. Maybe I'm just chatting absolute rubbish. I don't know. But you guys maybe know what I mean. It's just kind of a weird football aesthetics thing. I don't know. I just quite like it. But his quality of finishing, man. I mean, 11 touches in the game. He made them count. If you look at Sesco's last few games, right? He's got 7 goals in the Premier League now. The bulk of them have come since the turn of the year. The first 2 came against Burnley. So he's got 5 goals since the new year. He started in that game under Darren Fletcher. The quality of finishes in that game from him, I can't remember which way around it was, but I think it was the first one, the equaliser. The cushioned volley into the back of the net, into the corner across the goalkeeper from the cross was brilliant. And then I think Fernandes, got the assist where he just plays a little pass round the corner and Sesco gets in behind that Burnley back line and just drills it low and hard into the bottom corner. Brighton in the FA Cup, he obviously scored. Fulham, again, coming off the bench, getting the winning goal, only 16 minutes off the bench there. But the way the touch, I know he had space, but the touch to set himself and then rifle it into the top corner. West Ham is such a brilliant finish. I know some people were trying to downplay it, saying it was a bit lucky. It was a bit of a fluke. He couldn't do that again if he tried. But I believe he can. I think he's got real technical quality. I think there's other elements of his game that still need to kind of come together. Obviously, he's a new striker, a young striker, adapting to the Premier League. It's not going to be easy and not going to have it all his own way straight away. But that finishing quality, is there. It's a bit like Gyökeres, right? Like, if you're going to give him space, he's going to finish it. He's a lethal finisher. So there's other elements of the game that he needs to adapt. I think he needs players close to him if he's going to play as that lone striker from the start, because sometimes I think his link play or hold-up play can be a little bit bitty, I think, sometimes. Like, not the cleanest necessarily. But I think there's a lot to like about him. And his mentality as well, to kind of respect. It's not easy for United strikers. Like, they kind of get eaten alive a lot of the time. There's so much pressure coming into them. Like, look what happened with Højlund as well. They've, struggled to kind of really get it right and find that man. I'm not saying that Sesco is definitely going to be a major hit. But in terms of his finishing quality and his attitude, I think there's something really likeable about him. And it was a very, very good finish. Like, again, like I said, I kind of expected him to score when you get put through on goal like that and you see the opportunity. But it was just the way he finished it with such conviction, low and hard into the bottom corner with his kind of instep. I thought it was such a good goal, such a satisfying goal, such a brilliant finish from him. And I thought United were fully worthy of the 3 points bonus. It wasn't a classic game of football. And again, like I said, with the set pieces thing, kind of from a spectator's point of view, made it a bit of a tough watch. But United rode the storm well. And you look at their fixtures coming up, right? They've not got the easiest run of games. Palace obviously won last week. We'd expect them to go and win that with kind of where Palace are at the moment. Obviously at home, United have done really well under Carrick so far. Away to Newcastle is going to be a big test of this team's kind of bottle and character, because I think Newcastle do quite well to kind of sit back in that 5-4-1 out of possession shape under Eddie Howe and hit teams on the break and not allow United the kind of space maybe they want. But again, it comes back to what I was saying earlier in the video about the fact that if you're at home, like Newcastle will be in that game, wanting to make a statement, want to show that they're kind of turning the corner a little bit under Eddie Howe again, there will be a moment in that game where they've then got to come out and try and hurt United. If the game's 0-0, 60 minutes or whatever, then bang, United's counter-attacking players are fully in the game. And like I said, obviously, there is a real onus and pressure on Michael Carrick to develop like a reliable, solid, in-possession kind of structure against lower blocks to help them create chances. But I think they've got the quality of players to be able to do that and create moments and combine with each other. That's the thing. The combinations in tight areas are what opens teams up. And where you see the chemistry that Kobe, Fernandes, Cunha are all playing with, the rotations in that front line as well to kind of help pull teams apart. Maybe it's a bigger issue than I've kind of been speaking about. Maybe it's a non-issue at this point. Maybe it's just because that confirmation bias of the fact that you've seen them score a lot of counter-attacking goals. Maybe that's kind of seeped into my thinking a little bit potentially. But then they've got Villa, which is obviously a big game. United now 3 points behind them. Like that, Villa not really playing that well at the moment. Got injuries, and then go Bournemouth, Leeds. Like obviously tough fixtures on paper for sure. They've got to go to Chelsea, but I think when you look at Liverpool as well, but you look at Chelsea's fixtures, like United have obviously got tough ones as well. It's still a decent chunk of the season left to be played. There's obviously going to be teams in and around you. It's such a competitive league where the standard is obviously high across the board, despite the fact that the quality of football might not necessarily be reflecting that. But with the momentum they've got, 4 wins in their last 5. Liverpool are chugging along. They kind of still look frail and still not quite looking like themselves in certain games, despite playing well in patches. Chelsea, these are 2 big results for me in terms of maybe red flags around this Chelsea team, not getting over the line in games they need to. And United just seem to have that ability and that mentality at the moment under Carrick to find a way to get the job done. Whereas Chelsea, despite the fact that I've been quite impressed with Liam Rosenior and his tactical setup so far and some of the football they've been playing, I think it's more on the players really a little bit to kind of help them get over the line in games and show more maturity to go and kill teams off. United are scoring goals. They look a bit more solid at the back. They've got a good goalkeeper. The chemistry's there in that team. They've got no European football as well, which is key compared to the likes of Villa, Chelsea and Liverpool. You'd expect Liverpool and Chelsea to definitely go through the next round of the Champions League, obviously depending on who they get, but you'd expect them to do that. Villa, obviously, in the Europa League, you'd imagine will go deep as well. And despite the fact that, again, Villa have got, they've only lost once in their last 5. They don't look the same team as they were in the first half of the season. I think the injuries are playing a big part in that. But, yeah, man, I think this United team are good. This United team are good. It wasn't a classic tonight, but you take that away from home all day. I mean, Everton, their home form, actually, since moving to the Hill Dick, it's kind of, we've seen teams have this where, they've not really been able to settle properly in their new stadium just yet. They're 14th in the league for home form. I mean, look at Spurs in the relegation zone, man. Jesus Christ. They've only won 4 games at home, lost 6. Obviously, Spurs beat them there early in the season. Bournemouth beat them last week. It's just not really been a happy kind of hunting ground for them yet, really. I think those 4 wins, I think, a couple have come right at the start of the season. I think they beat Palace, didn't they? Who else they beat? I think they beat Brighton at the start of the season. Yeah, Brighton. Drew with Villa. Beat Palace. Beat Fulham. Again, they haven't won at home since December, which was when they beat Forest. And in that time, they've lost to Arsenal, lost to Brentford, drew with Wolves, drew with Leeds, lost to United, obviously lost at home to Bournemouth. So Everton need to find that home form quick and sharpish. I mean, they're going to be fine. They're not going to be in any trouble or anything like that. But it just feels like it's made for a bit of maybe an underwhelming season for Everton, I guess, maybe. But United were good tonight. They deserved the win. Man United, Michael Carrick's kind of counter-attacking Reds to the Champions League. Sesco Solskjaer does it off the bench again. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like it for me. Subscribe to the channel as well if you're new. We're very nearly at 1K. It means a lot for me if you did do that. And I'll see you in the next video, which will be tomorrow.